So to start, I have a Gamakatsu SL45 in a size 6, and I'm going to do about 10 wraps with this .015 lead wire. You can make this fly as heavy or light as you want it. I want just a little bit of extra weight on it to help it get down. It's all personal too. So we're just going to leave that there, and then I'm going to take a UTC and chartreuse, and it's a UTC 140. And I am going to tie in our large bead chain eyes in black, and I want to give myself plenty of room in front of the actual eyes of this fly. As you can see, it's not really pushed up against the eye right there. And that is because we're going to be tying a few materials in front of these eyes. And then I'll just take some wraps back behind my lead and come back through, trying to cinch everything down, making sure it's where I want it. I'm going to get some glue. I'm just going to dab a little bit. I'll try and get that hair out of there. Dab a little bit on top, and then a little bit on the bottom. Perfect. Do a couple more wraps just to make sure everybody's really locked in, and then I'm going to take my thread back to the shank of the hook right there. I'll do a couple more wraps over it just to get a good thread base going. I'm just going to let it hang right there. Next, I'm going to grab my woolly bugger marabou in olive, and this is going to be the tail, and I want it to be roughly the length of the shank of the hook right there. And then I'm just going to put it there, pinch it with the left hand, do a couple soft wraps on it, make sure it's nice and evenly spread out, which it looks good, and then I'm going to cinch down and wrap forward. And then we'll just nip that off, and then we'll just do some more wraps right on top here. Perfect. Next, we're going to grab our silly legs from Wapsi, and these are the Chrome Nymph Green Pumpkin. And I just take one, cut it in half, and I will tie each half in on either side. So we have two legs sticking out back by the tail on either side. Splay them out a little bit just so they don't sit like right on top of each other. And I'm going to nip them right around the length of our tail here. I might go a little bit shorter in the back. Yeah. And then I will do that on the other side. Tie them in and tie them back towards the tail here. Try not to touch the other ones. Move my thread forward, splay them out a little bit, and then cut them maybe a little short of the tail. Yeah, that looks good there. So we got our silly legs, and then now for the body, I'm just going to take my thread, I'm going to make a dubbing loop here. Tie it back to the tail. And then wrap forward here. And I'll just do a quick little half hitch just to make sure my thread doesn't go anywhere while we are spinning the body on. So next we're going to take our Cohen's Carp Dub in the olive bar, and I'll just get this, split it apart, make sure it is where we want it. And then I'm just going to take the Cohen's Carp Dub here, and I'm just going to stick it right in between, let it pinch down, and then we'll just give it a twist and just let that spin up. Yeah. Let it keep going. Yeah, right about there. Looks good. And then I'm just going to wrap this up the body of the fly here. We're going to come to right behind the eyes. Grab my thread again. And capture the other end of that Cohen's Carp Dub and just nip it off nice and close. And then what I'll do with this fly is I want it to be a little bit controlled, so I'll just come through with my scissors and knock things down just a little bit. I don't want it to be too crazy buggy or anything sticking out too far, but I like that. Make sure our rubber legs are still where we want them back here. Beautiful. So as you can see, it's starting to get that nice buggy, carpy looking kind of feel to it. I'm just going to brush everything back so at least it's laying back. It's not too sticking out too crazy on us. Beautiful. Next, I'm going to take some more of the silly legs in the same color and repeat what I did back there and just tie them in right behind the eyes here. And just do kind of the same thing, spur them out, come through, nip them about the same length as the legs in the back there. And I will do the same thing on the other side. Remember to splay them out and then come through and nip them. That looks good there. And then what we're going to do is take a little bit more of this Cohen's Carp Dub, and I'm just going to do a dubbing noodle this time. And I just want to wrap this right behind the eyes and in front of those legs just to push them back a bit so they're not sticking straight out to the side. Something like that. So as you can see, they have that more facing that direction a little bit. And then I'm going to come right in front of the eye here and get ready for the next step. So I'm going to grab some more marabou, woolly bugger marabou in the olive, and I'm going to lay it right over the bottom of the fly here, kind of facing up. Going to cover up the hook, and I want it to be just about to the tail right there, not laying over too far. Now I'm going to pinch it from the top here, take a couple loose wraps, keeping my thread in front of the eyes, let go. That looks good. Pinch it back down, do some more firm wraps, come through and nip it off. And I'm just going to kind of pinch it back down and lay it like that. And then finally, we're going to get a little bit more Cohen's Carp Dub, and you don't need a lot for this step. You know, something like that. And I'm just going to pull it and lay it on top of itself until all the fibers are pretty even and facing the same direction here. And I'm just going to lay that and do a little bit more actually. A little bit more, pull it out, lay it on top, pull it out, lay it on top until they're all roughly the same length. I'm just going to nip off any long ones here. And then I'm just going to take this and lay it right on top of the marabou that we just tied in. Loose wrap, take the rest of it, fold it over. Couple tight wraps here. Make sure you capture that second fold of the carp dub, and then I'm just going to come through with a brush, even it out here on the bottom. Make sure it looks at least relatively even here. Cut off any extras and then do a quick whip finish of this chartreuse thread. And then this next step is not necessary. It's actually not a step that Matt Bennett does, but I do this on a lot of my flies. I think it helps with fish being able to see it in darker water, and I'm just going to put a little hot head on it. So I'm going to take some Danville's Denier in 140, and this is in the fluorescent orange, and I am just going to come through here. And just take a couple wraps up here, nip that one off, grab my whip finisher, nip that off, grab my brush, kind of brush everything out, make sure it's all laying down and looking how we want it to. Get rid of that guy. And make sure all that marabou and that carp dub that we laid down is kind of the belly of this fly, get mixed up. Covers the hook like that. And just like that, yeah, that is the Carp-It Bomb. Sweet little buggy carp fly, not too big, super soft presentation when you're throwing it around. And a super effective fly.